In 2017, Nintendo released Super Mario Odyssey, a love letter to the history of the Super Mario series. 3 years later, Sony released a love letter of their own, and it gives Mario's Last Odyssey a run for its money. Astro's Playroom is a 3D platformer where you go through levels collecting puzzle pieces like a certain barren bird, coins like a certain plumber, and artifacts, which are just sometimes obscure and not so obscure peripherals for PlayStation consoles. And you collect PlayStation consoles themselves. You start the game by testing out the PS5 DualSense controller functions and quickly enter the hub world CPU Plaza. All of the worlds, Memory Meadow, Cooling Springs, GPU Jungle, and SSD Speedway, are open to you from the beginning. Those 4 main levels are made up of 4 individual zones or areas. A mystery level is locked until you beat all of the levels and collect all of the puzzle pieces. Also, there are speedrun levels that open up when you go through the game and the PlayStation Labo area. The Labo area is a museum where you can see the fruits of your labor and use the coins that you have collected to gather more puzzle pieces and artifacts from a machine. The first thing you notice about the game are the gorgeous graphics. They are clean with all of the lighting and reflections and all of that modern jazz that Digital Foundry can explain better than I ever could. I'm sure the game isn't pushing the PS5 to its limits, but I'm also sure it wouldn't look this good on the PS4. The audio is also good. The music for the different levels is catchy and appropriate. You have a fun beachy theme for Cooling Springs, and GPU Jungle will have you singing along to a song about GPU. The tune is insanely catchy and the lyrics are fun. The controls are pitch perfect. They are tight and responsive when navigating the world as Astro, and your movement speed is good. You aren't just moving in the regular way that you would in most 3D platformers. You use all of the controller's cool features like motion control and the adaptive triggers when you are using special transformations. The rolling ball, which you have to control with the touchpad, the monkey, the spaceship, and the springy thing. I found the climbing segments with the monkey the most fun, followed closely by the spaceship segments. The springy thing isn't without its fun, but it is my least favorite transformation because it makes the platforming more sluggish. And the rolling ball is fun, but it takes a lot of practice to get right. I still have trouble controlling it, but I feel like my failures are my own fault. There are parts where you have to blow into the microphone to progress, and I found that element to be a little tacked on. The DualSense controller is the buffalo though. They use every part of it. This game is selling us on the controller, dang it. You can also feel the wind, rain, and hail in the game as you make your way through the levels. It's all very interesting and gives one a new level of immersion rarely felt before. Speaking of the levels, the aesthetics are interesting and visually striking. In levels like GPU Jungle, everything except the rocks and the clouds are made up of materials that make up Sony PlayStation video game consoles. The grass is made up of connection ribbons, for instance. Cooling Springs is a stunning level that mixes an ice and beach theme. SSD Speedway starts in an 80s version of cyberspace and continues into space. Memory Meadow is a typical starter level like Super Mario 64's Bomb Battlefield or Banjo-Kazooie's Mumbo's Mountain. A simple grassy, somewhat wide open area that somehow feels inviting to the player. Eventually, you do get to an area that has My other favorite type of visual in gaming. Dark pink cherry blossom trees! Oh god, not cherry blossom head. Not her. Not this abomination. I mean the beautiful, friendly, and inviting type of cherry blossom trees. The kinds that you see in Yooka-Laylee's opening level, Tribal Stack Tropics. Those cherry blossom trees are usually paired with nice green grass. That visual makes any level look better. In between all of the fun platforming, you will fight robotic Goomba type enemies. Some are electric, some have spikes, and some can fly. Overall, the enemy design is fine. You kill them with simple punches or use the laser that lets you hover when you jump. There are a couple of boss fights, but nothing too difficult. Enemies in this game are mostly light obstacles. They are nothing that will make you rage quit. Also, keep your eyes peeled because you get to see tons of Easter eggs. The characters from the games that sold the PlayStation consoles. Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. Crash Bandicoot. Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Modern icons like the PS4 iteration of Kratos and Boy. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. And characters from the still reigning king of survival horror, Resident Evil. So the controls are excellent, the level design is good, and the visuals are great. Are there any flaws? Well, I suppose you can knock it for being too easy, not being long enough, and not having much in the way of a story, but I would find the last complaint dubious. I like a good story as much as the next person, but these types of games don't really need them, and they definitely don't need a deep story. Astro's Playroom is more of PlayStation's history as a video game, and that's a good enough story. If you love 3D platformers and you own a PS5, you owe it to yourself to play Astro's Playroom. Despite being a glorified tech demo, the game is so good that it puts most other 3D platformers to shame. It stands alongside the greats of the genre like Banjo-Kazooie, Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, Ratchet and Clank, and Mario Odyssey. If it had twice as many levels, I would be giving it a 10 out of 10. But as it is, it will have to settle for a lowly score of 9 out of 10. It is a free downloadable game on the PS5. You have no reason not to play it if you are a PS5 owner and you enjoy 3D platformers. This has been a review from Kazaloo. Be good, be sweet, and enjoy gaming.